Hello Ice and Fire Nerds, this is Chris, and this will continue our Game of Thrones foreshadowing series, and we'll pick up right where we left off and get started with Season 1, Episode 6, A Golden Crown.
Dracarys.
Alright, so let's jump right in. In our first scene, we have Ned waking up from a fever dream. Now, there's no particular payoff scene in the show for this, but I believe this was a shout out to the books here because this is how we got the Tower of Joy scene in the books. We did not see the Tower of Joy in a Bran flashback. Ned was having a fever dream and started to remember what happened at the Tower of Joy. So show watchers only, be happy that you got what you got with the Tower of Joy because there wasn't quite as much in the books, although it was done a little bit differently. But this is where Ned starts to remember Rhaegar and the Targaryens. And keep in mind in the books, when he does start to think back to Rhaegar, he never thinks of him in a bad way whatsoever. As a matter of fact, he respects him. And in the same scene, Cersei and Robert are waiting for Ned when he wakes up.
I took you for a king.
Hold your tongue.
He's attacked one of my brothers and abducted the other. I should wear the armor, and you the gown.
So Cersei says specifically here, I should wear the armor and you the gown. And of course, that's continuing the theme that she has a legitimate gripe with about why women can't be in power. Cersei's never understood this. She knows she's just as capable as any man, but she goes about it the wrong way by killing people. But in the end, regardless of who she's lost, she got what she wanted when we see this.
You damned fool. Paper and ink on the table. Write down what I say.
And also during this scene, Robert does this to Cersei. And also a few minutes later, Robert says this.
I'm the king, I get what I want.
So Robert smacks Cersei here, which of course was the wrong thing to do, and then of course in the same scene, he says, I'm the king, I get what I want, and while he's saying this, he is drinking wine, and I believe this, and going along with what Cersei said about she should be wearing the armor, this continues to build up to this.
More wine, Your Grace.
So Robert got what he wanted, more wine, although it was a very strong wine, and kind of a shitty plan by Cersei, but it ended up working as far as him getting murdered by a pig. But of course this continues to build up to Robert's death, as we've seen in many episodes prior to this one. And also during the end of this scene we see this.
Put on the badge, and if you ever take it off again, I swear to the mother I'll pin the damn thing on Jaime Lannister.
So we see Ned holding the hand of the king pin, and he's thinking about something here, and this goes back to the books a little bit, I think, where he's actually thinking about Rhaegar and the Targaryens. And as a matter of fact, in the next scene, it actually switches over to Dany, and in that scene, Dany is holding her dragon eggs. So it's kind of going back to the books here, where Ned's starting to remember the Targaryens as far as Rhaegar. Of course, this leads into R plus L equals J, and I believe this is also simply symbolism as well, because he's holding the hand of the king pin, and Dany's holding her dragon eggs in the next scene, which both represent power. And in our next scene, we see Dany realizing she is the true dragon.
Khaleesi!
So obviously here she's becoming more and more obsessed with these dragon eggs, and she decides to try to actually heat one, so obviously she's thinking about actually hatching one. And of course this continues to build up to this. So this is obviously the first time she realizes she is the true dragon. She cannot be burned, and continues the theme that Viserys is actually the false dragon, and she is actually the real Targaryen here, as far as the one to bring the Targaryen dynasty back. So she really starts to get the idea here that she is going to actually become the mother of dragons. And in our next scene, we see Bran having a dream of going to the crypts with Bloodraven. And of course, this continues the recruitment from Bloodraven, so he'll start to understand what the hell's going on, and it leads to this.
That's where I saw Father.
You see? He's not here.
Here, Shaggy Dog. Rickon! What are you doing down here? Come back up with us. No, I came to see Father. He was down here. I saw him. Saw him when? Last night. When I was sleeping. Here, Shaggy Dog.
That leads him to actually want to go down to the crypt, so he has Osha take him down there, and of course they meet Rickon in the same place, and they both had the same dream, and that makes Bran realize there's something bigger going on here. I really need to look into this three-eyed crow thing. This is not just some random dream here about my father. And in our next scene, we have Robb and Theon talking while Bran tries out his new saddle.
Come on.
You need to make the Lannisters pay for Jory and the others.
You're talking about war.
I'm talking about justice.
Only the Lord of Winterfell can call in the bannermen and raise an army.
And of course, they're talking about war here after they hear about Ned being stabbed in the leg by Jaime's men. So that points to this down the road.
Joffrey puts my father in chains. Now he wants his ass kissed.
This is a royal command, my lord.
His Grace summons me to King's Landing. I'll go to King's Landing. But not alone. Call the banners.
But of course, this also continues the theme with Theon here about what he's doing in Winterfell in the first place. He's always been a ward of Ned Stark and treated with the utmost respect, just like one of his own sons. But the point being here that a lot of people throughout these first episodes are kind of teasing Theon about being his hostage. So this makes Theon start to think about rebelling here. And of course, Robb says this.
They attacked your father. They've already started the war. It's your duty to represent your house when your father can't.
And it's not your duty. Because it's not your house.
That cut deep, Robb, that cut deep. So I think this, in combination with all the other jokes about Theon, eventually led to this.
I've taken your castle.
Theon.
It's Prince Theon now. Get up. You have to get dressed. I've taken Winterfell.
And in our next scene, we see Bran riding his horse with his brand new saddle designed by Tyrion.
All alone in the deep, dark woods.
So we see Bran get captured by Osha and a couple wildlings here. Of course, Robb and Theon save him. But the point being here is that the wildling says this.
Press on the north. We're going as far south as south goes. There ain't no White Walkers down in Dorne.
They're going as far south as south can go, and there are no White Walkers in Dorne. So there's certainly not a payoff yet. But does that indicate that there will be White Walkers in Dorne, or at least will we see it snowing in Dorne in Season 7 or Season 8? And of course, during the same scene, we see Robb and Theon give Bran a helping hand.
Let him go and I'll let you live.
Now, I just threw this in here mainly because this went down a little bit differently in the books. In the books, Grey Wind actually helps here, not just Robb and Theon. Probably the only reason they didn't use Grey Wind here is because of the CGI issue. But this also continues the theme about Theon here, about his rebellion and how he's feeling underappreciated. And specifically, Theon says this.
Have you lost your mind? What have you missed?
He would have killed you and cut Bran's throat.
You don't have the right to...
To what? To save your brother's life? It was the only thing to do, so I did it.
So Theon specifically says here that I saved your brother's life when Robb asked what the hell are you doing, and of course that points to this. So of course he does actually save Bran's life in both cases. In the first one, just obviously doing what he thought was right when the wildlings had him captured. But the second time he does save Bran and Rickon's life by actually not trying to capture them and using the Miller boys instead. He went about it in a pretty shitty way by actually killing and burning the Miller boys, or having it done for him, so people would believe it was Bran and Rickon, continuing to show this conflict within Theon that began very, very early on in this series. Alright guys, so that'll do it for this episode. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As usual, thank you for all the support, especially to you guys on Patreon. And a big shout out to my Patreon executive smokescreen producers, Hoss Griffin, Ball Guy 10, Lala, Gig, Kissa Powell, Marc Joseph, aka The Snow in Winterfell, and Marylin Bentley. Thank you guys so much. And of course, thank you to everyone out there in YouTube land. I really appreciate the support. Be sure to subscribe to get everything, and make sure you click that notification bell as well so you get notified when I drop a new video. So thanks again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.